Welcome to Dylan J. Sampson Explains, the show for all you lazy people who couldn't be bothered to read the book to damn themselves. Today we'll be discussing Hamlet, the Prince of Denmark. Oh yeah, putting that theater degree in. So for the last few nights, the ghost of the late King Hamlet has been haunting the castle. Horatio and two unimportant guards who are never seen or mentioned again get the brilliant idea to try to capture the ghost. They fail spectacularly. That's when the trio of dumbasses goes into gossip mode. Apparently, what had happened was, he went to war with Norway, and the long and short of it is he died. His son, also named Hamlet, is now the new king. Just kidding. It's actually his brother Claudius, because apparently that's how it works in Denmark. Claudius has in fact married his brother's wife Gertrude and has adopted the prince as his own, and now they're one big, happy, creepy family. So the next day there's a gathering at the castle, and the new king is giving some unimportant speech, and Hamlet's kind of moping off in the corner because he's sad and his dad died. Meanwhile, he's pretty pissed at Mom for marrying Uncle Claudius and not loving his new stepdad at all. After everyone leaves and Hamlet has a quick bitch fit, Larry, Curly, and Mo show up and tell Hamlet all about the ghost. The next night, Hamlet waits for the ghost with Horatio and Marcellus. The ghost shows up and beckons Hamlet to follow him, so he runs off for some quality bonding time with Dad. Turns out, Dad is now doomed to wander the earth Jacob Marley style, and just to add insult to injury, it was Uncle Claudius that killed him. Then, to add more insult to injury, he started screwing his dead brother's wife. Needless to say, the king is quite pissed at his brother, so he swears the young prince to avenge him. Then he leaves. Everyone's starting to worry about Hamlet, who's starting to seem pretty crazy. His mother and stepfather decide to call on the aid of his two childhood friends, ROSENCRANTZ and GUILDENSTERN, to spend some time with the young prince and figure out why he's acting so weird. Meanwhile, Polonius, Ophelia's dad, is convinced the prince is mad because he's so madly in love with his daughter, thanks to some story she told him about some crazy thing that Hamlet did. He tells the king and queen, and they plan a meeting between the two of them where they can spy on them from behind a curtain. At this point in the story, Hamlet's kind of lost in his own head. He's walking around rambling to himself, he's constantly referencing things none of the other characters understand, and he's starting to make everyone kind of nervous. Hamlet's overjoyed to see his old friends, though not stupid enough to think they showed up by accident, and just to perk up his spirits, they've brought along some actors to perform for the family. So Hamlet hatches a plan to make the play about his father's murder, so when Uncle Claudius sees it, he'll be so overtaken with emotion that he confesses everything. You know, because that always works. The king puts Polonius' plan into effect, and everybody but Ophelia takes a hike while Polonius and King Claudius hide behind the curtain. Enter Hamlet. To be or not to be? That is the question. The answer is to be, by the way. This is literally the most famous line in Shakespeare, yet almost no one realizes it's about suicide. Hamlet is seriously debating killing himself because he's basically scared. After his long existential crisis, our young prince finally notices Ophelia's in the room. She tries to talk to him, but he's all, "Bitch, don't kill my vibe," and leaves. On to the play within a play. And guess who the play is clearly about? So yeah, Uncle Claudius is rather displeased when he watches it, and of course Mom's none too happy either, so they both storm out before the ending, and Hamlet's happy because in his mind he's proven the ghost story true. Because if the king was innocent, he totally wouldn't think a play about a guy killing the king and then marrying his wife was about him, and he wouldn't be so mad. Flawless logic. Basically, Hamlet's a growing problem that needs to be dealt with ASAP. Claudius decides to send him to England to do some unimportant task that will put him at a nice safe distance. Meanwhile, the king laments killing his brother. Hamlet walks in on his uncle's spiritual crisis and thinks now might be a good time to get that revenge he's been after this entire time. But I guess it's no fun if he wants to die, so Hamlet leaves and goes to see Mommy instead. Polonius is doing his curtain bit again when Hamlet shows up and goes in on the queen. He doesn't specifically call her a hoe, but he strongly disapproves of her choice of mates. While he's going off on her, the ghost shows up and is like, "Hey, focus up, kiddo. You're all over the place and you're totally not doing what I asked you to." Mom looks on in amazement as Hamlet argues with his imaginary friend because, as it turns out, the ghost isn't really there and our young prince is just crazy. What a twist! Being that Hamlet's insanity is getting scary and more than a little bit threatening, Queen Gertrude cries out for help, and when Polonius answers, Hamlet stabs the curtain, killing him. Now off to England. It's pretty clear something bad needs to happen to Hamlet while he's gone for everyone's safety. Then there's Polonius' children. Ophelia's pretty much lost her mind with grief and won't stop singing, while her big brother Laertes, who left for France in Act 1, is back and out for blood. Meanwhile, word arrives Hamlet's on his way back from England and is the sole survivor of the trip. That's not cause to worry at all. Now the king has two vengeance-crazed sons to deal with, so his best option is to set them against one another. He calms Laertes and saves his own ass by pointing the finger at Hamlet as Polonius' murderer, and the two hatch a plan to see the young prince dead. Laertes is going to challenge the young prince to a duel and beforehand dip his sword in poison, so even the slightest scratch will be fatal. The king, as insurance, decides to also poison Hamlet's drink in case he gets parched from too much scratch-free dueling. Enter the queen, and remember Ophelia? Apparently she's dead now too, drowned after falling into a brook. Laertes has gone from pissed to Hamlet level crazy. Shit is about to get real. The gravedigger scene. You know, the one where he says, "Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio." The line everyone knows besides to be or not to be. This scene is mostly just superfluous, so I'm going to skip ahead. It's Ophelia's funeral, and Hamlet's hiding in the back as Laertes goes all grieving widow and throws himself on top of his sister's body after they put her in the grave. Hamlet has apparently forgotten who Laertes is and gets all indignant that some other man is professing to have loved her more than he, so he comes out of hiding to give Laertes a thorough scolding and ends up getting choked out by him. I guess a funeral in Denmark has the same protocol as a family reunion in the US. The queen has them separated and they both just kind of leave. It's not time for the final showdown yet, but it's damn sure coming. Now we find out the truth about Hamlet's return. He tells Horatio the story of his trip to England. While they slept, Hamlet stole the letter the king gave to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern and read it. The long and short of it was the prince needed to get got for the good of the kingdom. Hamlet forges a different letter saying that upon receipt, the two bearers of the letter should immediately be put to death. No more Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Flash forward, Hamlet learns of Laertes' challenge and for some reason decides to go through with the match. Skip to the fight. Hamlet and Laertes are facing off, and Hamlet's actually doing pretty well. Now Uncle Claudius is getting nervous, so he calls for the water boy, but Hamlet's not thirsty. The queen, on the other hand, is quite parched, so she drinks the poison drink instead. As Hamlet and Laertes continue their match, each manages to cut the other, which is bad, because it turns out both swords are poisoned. Down goes Mommy. After Laertes explains the situation, he dies too. Hamlet then stabs the king with the poisoned sword, and bye-bye Uncle Claudius. Finally, Hamlet dies, and Horatio is left to clean up the bodies. The end. Thanks for watching, and join us next time on Dylan J. Sampson Explains, when I'll be explaining Romeo and Juliet. Please like and comment this video on YouTube, and then follow me on Twitter at Dylan J. Sampson, and check out MangoseedProductions.com for more exciting content. Also, don't forget to leave suggestions for other stories you'd like me to explain. I'm Dylan J. Sampson. See you next time.